So now I'm going to just create a new file, a new C file, and the C file I'm going to name it zipit.c, and also we're going to create another file called printdict.c. So that way we're going to see exactly how to implement these functions using the Python code. The first one return a dictionary object, and the second one print the dictionary object. Let's start with the zipit function. I'm going to split the editor into two parts, okay? And we start by including the Python library, and then we declare our function called zipit. The zipit return a Py object or a Python object. So that will be a struct, a pointer to a Python object struct in the C code. Then the name of the function, zipit. Also, it will receive two arguments, Python object. The first will be the keys, and the second will be the values. So you have to really, we're not going to add error checkings, all those things, but we only have to make sure that the keys are passed down here and the values are parsed down the values parameter. Now that we have the keys, we know that these two objects, they are list. So in the C code, I'm going to get the length of the keys. There is a pi s size type. This is the the equivalent, the C s size type equivalent for Python. This type will change depending on the platform. So instead of using S size type for the C, we use this defined type from the Python library. Then the length will be, since we know that it is a Python list, we call the API related function. As in the previous video, you can go on the GitHub repository, the CPython GitHub repository, and in the subfolder include, you go look for list object header, and inside there you can see all the functions related to list. So there we have the py list size function. It needs to receive a list object. We know that this is the list object, and next we are going to define a py s size d I variable type. The name of the variable is index. Let's say I'm gonna say index equals 0. So we'll use this to loop through the list. Now for the next thing is to create a dictionary. And if you look here, you see in the Python code we created a dictionary. We're going to create a dictionary also. That will be by dict object type, and I'm going to call it, oh no, I'm going to just say by object and name it zip. Then for that, we're creating a dictionary. So by dict new. This will create an empty dictionary. Then now we can add things to the dictionary. Now in this loop here, we're going to loop for our index is equal to 0, index lesser than length, index plus plus. So here we set the value from we set the key on the dictionary, then also we set the value for the key. In the C, we need to use a function for that. And the name of the function, if you look on in the Python, the CPython repository, under the include directory, you can see the dict objects functions. Now there is a function called py dict set item. It takes out 3 parameters. The first parameter is the dictionary. The second parameter is the key. So here we're going to get the key from the list. So here we need to call the py list get item function. We pass in the keys list and we pass in the position of the element we want to get. So this is, if you look in the Python code, this is equivalent to that. And then we need to get the value for that key by list get item. We pass in the values list, then the index. Now this is it, the for loop in the C code. And at the end, we can return the created dictionary. Let's compile this code and see if everything is good. We have a problem. It says forbid an empty translation unit, all warning being treated as error. So we have a problem on the first line somewhere here. Include python.h. Okay. Why this isn't working? Let's check again. We're going to create the library, compile it. Okay. This error is due to the fact we have created the print dict file, but it is empty. The print dict, no, where it is, the print dict.c, it is an empty C file. I'm going to delete it, but we're going to create it later. Now let's try to compile this code. Yes, now we have the zipit implemented using the C code. And then we create a shared library named libfunny.so. Let's see if we can replace the zipit function using our own custom C function. I'm going to delete this one and comment the lines here. Now we imported the library, our custom library. and we're going to import the zipit function from the custom library. The zipit function return type will be a Python object, so ctype dot py object, and it receives some arguments. So we have to specify the argument types in the list. C types by object, C types by object. Now we're going to have the same kind of output as in the previous example while using the same a Python the Python ways. Now we created our own C function as in here, and we're going to use that instead. Let's run this code and see if it works. And that's it. It's still display name, age, height. Now we have been able to successfully implement the zipit function in the C code. And this is what is cool. Next thing is, how are we going to implement the print function using the C programming language instead of using the Python programming language? Let's do that on the next part, the next video.